This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
You know, conventional wisdom, as you probably know, is that the party in power, particularly the party that controls the White House, loses the midterm elections. That's just the way it generally goes. I don't know why they get angry at the president for whatever reason, or the party in power, and say, let's just mix things up, shake it up. Let's go with the Democrats this time. So people think in 2026, Democrats can retake the House, maybe the Senate, and hamstring Trump and begin the impeachments. And that may happen. God knows the Republican House and Republican Senate have done nothing. And if they continue to do nothing, they will deserve to be booted out of the majority in 2026. But this week led me to believe that may not happen, that the Republicans will continue to control all three branches and maybe build on the majority. And I'll tell you why. Not because of anything, God knows, Mike Johnson or John Thune or any of the worthless majority in the Congress have done, but because the Democrats continue to double down on insanity. Because all the reasons people voted for Republicans in November, the reasons they elected Donald Trump in a landslide, the reason they rejected Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, they're not changing at all. They're not pivoting. They've learned nothing. This week, we've seen the 80-20, 90-10 issues are rearing their ugly heads, and Democrats are, again, all in on the 10 or all in on the 20. They are in blue states continuing to allow boys to dominate girls in sports. We're watching it in real time, boys kicking girls' asses, and Democrats are saying they're not boys, they're trans girls. Well, you go with that, Democrats, you go with that. We're watching as colleges, universities are celebrating the anti-Semitic, anti-American agitators who have taken over their campuses, which has led Donald Trump, the Trump administration, to demanding their list of foreign students, limiting foreign students. Why? Because these aren't people we want here, but they don't care. We have the commencement speakers at Harvard and MIT, which were once elite universities, which are now hotbeds for anti-American, anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas rabble. These people are dominating these universities, and Trump is trying to do something about it. And I think that's a winning issue. I think Trump knew this. I think the Trump team knew this was a winning issue. He knew the Democrats would double down. And of course, we have to get to the number one issue, I think, in November. Immigration, illegal immigration. No decent, normal, sane American wants an open border. They don't want 20 million illegals roaming the country. They don't want TDA and MS-13 in their neighborhoods. And they're celebrating when ICE comes into their city and starts arresting the worst of the worst. Decent Americans, normal Americans are like, great, come on in. He's right over there. That drug dealer with the face tats, he's right there. Go get him. And when ICE does their job, people are thrilled. Well, not everybody, not Democrats. This is a fascinating moment in time. This is, in my mind, we're going to look back at this moment in time and think this is where the country woke up. This is where people woke up. Sanity prevailed. We voted for Donald Trump. We voted for Tom Homan. We voted for Stephen Miller. We voted for ICE. We voted for these people because the last administration was treasonous. They were traitorous. They sold out this country for votes, for future votes. No one thinks it was a good idea to have an open border. Nobody thinks it was a good idea to import gang members, criminals, illegal aliens, fentanyl dealers. It's hard to believe that 75 million people voted to continue that. That will always blow my mind, that 75 million Americans looked at Trump, looked at Kamala and said, yes, we want an open border. We want more Laken Rileys, more Jocelyn Nungarys. We want more fentanyl dealers in our neighborhoods. Well, they didn't win. Thank God in heaven, they didn't win. Trump won. Trump had a mandate. Trump said what he was going to do, and he's doing it. And what are Democrats doing? What are blue state governors, blue state mayors doing? They're fighting to keep illegal aliens in your neighborhood. They're fighting to bring MS-13 gang members like Kilmar Abrego Garcia back into your neighborhood from a prison in El Salvador. I can't help but think if there were an election, I don't know, 2 months from now, that this would be in every ad. You'd have Chris Van Hollen having margaritas with Kilmar Abrego Garcia. You would have Democrats in blue cities demanding that ICE leave these monsters in your neighborhood. You would have scenes like what happened yesterday in Boston. ICE came to Boston. I think finally, Ironhead, they've come in full force. They are not messing around. They said they were going to come. The governor of Massachusetts, the mayor of Boston, didn't want them here. The mayor of Boston told these illegal alien gangbangers, you belong here. This is your home. And Tom Homan said, we'll see about that. So they came, and they came in hard to Boston yesterday, which is a great thing. Did they come here and arrest, grandmas, abuelas, hardworking dishwashers and landscapers? No, they'll get to that. That's phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1 is the worst of the worst. And that's what they did. They came to Boston. They came to my neighborhood. Right, I saw the video there right around the corner. Thank you, God. And they arrested, let's see, 1 murderer, multiple rapists, multiple fentanyl dealers who are still living in Boston, being protected by our mayor, being protected by every single elected Democrat. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Every single elected official, because they're all Democrats, does not want ICE here. They want murderers, drug dealers, rapists, gang members here. They want them protected. They don't want them removed. How do you not make that a campaign issue? Make that the stark difference. Show the divide. You have one side that wants illegal alien murderers out, and the other side that wants them here, and indeed wants to obstruct ICE, that wants to stop federal officials from removing monsters, rapists, child rapists. Yes, there was a child rapist, which we'll get to, who was living 100 yards from a playground. ICE got him. They grabbed him. They arrested him. They handcuffed him. They put him in the crib. Then he's gone. He will be gone from that neighborhood. And the mayor's not happy. And the governor's not happy. And all the Congress people, Catherine Clark, is not happy. All the city council, everybody on the city council is against this. I know I've done this before and I'll do it again, but I have such difficulty getting my mind around that. Why would anybody be against this? Why? I understand that these lowlifes are potential future Democrat voters, but I think murdering someone, raping a child outweighs your potential political advantage here. Why would you ever want them here? That should be, and it will be, a political ad in 2026. Why, dear God, would you want these people here? This report from Bill Melugin at Fox is just mind-blowing. Not only do Democrat officials want to stop ICE, lots of local residents, maybe they're illegal too, don't want ICE here. And indeed, they tried to stop them. They fought with ICE. I am going to assume that these people have been arrested or will be arrested. They're tipping off the murderers. They're literally stopping ICE from arresting murderers. What has happened to people? I don't even care if you're Guatemalan, Dominican, whatever, and you're saying, that guy's Guatemalan. He killed someone. He raped a kid. And you don't want him out of your neighborhood? This is absolute madness, what we're watching. You're seeing the Trump promise come to life. He's going to protect you whether you like it or not. You hate the man. You hate everything he stands for. And he still is going to come into your neighborhood and protect you. He's still going to remove these worst of the worst, the public safety threats. He's going to take them out of your neighborhood and protect you and your family, whether you like it or not. Let's check out this report. This is Boston yesterday, and it's just mind-blowing that, again, every single elected official does not want this. They're not happy that these people are in Boston doing God's work. This is just incredible. Play it.
You want to huddle up for 1 second, please?
It's dawn in Massachusetts, where Fox News was given exclusive access to ICE's elite Boston team.
All of our targets today are extremely violent, so please use extreme caution. Good luck out there and be safe.
ICE quickly moves on its first target and arrests him. He's a Salvadoran illegal alien on El Salvador's most wanted list, with an Interpol red notice out for his arrest for aggravated murder, aggravated kidnapping, and robbery.
Let's just wait right here. This car is going to pick you up, right?
ICE then arrested this Salvadoran illegal alien, who was previously convicted of child rape. He was deported in 2017 after he went to prison and illegally re-entered the U.S. He was found living right next to this children's playground.
So you guys just snagged a previously deported, convicted child rapist living 100 yards from a child's playground. Is that unusual out here?
Not in Massachusetts. It's not unusual. Due to the open border policies, we are finding that plenty of people who have been previously deported and committed heinous crimes and were removed from the country are now back here, just living among us. And now that's our job to go round them up.
Nothing else? No.
We joined ICE as they also arrested this Colombian illegal alien, facing pending charges for sexual assault of a child, as well as this Dominican alien with a drug trafficking conviction who's now facing local charges for fentanyl distribution. Meanwhile, away from our cameras, another ICE team arrested this Guatemalan illegal alien who's facing charges in Massachusetts for aggravated child rape, but was released from state custody. They also arrested this Honduran alien who's facing local charges for rape and was also released from local custody. Your message for the politicians who continue to fight you guys?
We're not going away. It might take us longer. It might be harder, but we're not going away. We're here. We know what the American people voted for. We understand that we work for the American people, and we're going to be here until we send everyone home.
And Bill, ICE Boston tells us that local anti-ICE activists have been interfering with their operations virtually every single day. They say yesterday alone in East Boston, they had arrested a criminal alien and put him in handcuffs when a group of activists grabbed onto that alien and tried to pull him into their car to get him away from ICE. Then in a second incident yesterday, ICE says they were surveilling a murderer's home in their car when a crowd surrounded their vehicle, blew their cover, and they had to pull off the target. Again, a murderer.
Oh, okay, my blood is boiling. They had a murderer. They were surveilling a murderer when local activists, anti-ICE activists, blew their cover and they had to pull out. They couldn't go grab the murderer. What the hell is going on here? Why? I can't help but think at some other point in time we would all support this, we would rally around this effort, we would applaud this, and yet you will not hear the mayor, the governor, any Congress people, you will not hear any of them, Ayanna Pressley or Catherine Clark or Ed Markey, none of them will say, thank you, ICE, thank you for what you're doing, thank you for grabbing the child rapist who lived next to a playground. Democrats aren't happy because a child rapist, more than one, by the way, you heard the report, multiple child rapists were living, thriving in your neighborhood, and ICE grabbed them, and Democrats aren't happy. Maybe we can get a Democrat on the comment line here today, on the chat line, to explain to me why you're not happy about this. Why? Could someone ask Mayor Wu today? Could someone ask Maura Healey today? Why are you unhappy with this? Why did you want this person in your neighborhood? Why did your state release them? They were charged with heinous sex crimes against children and released into the community. And this, I'll say it again, every single elected official, every single one from one end of the state to the other is upset about this, against this. Everyone wanted these people to remain free and on the loose. You see what I mean? Democrats have lost their minds. They've gone doubled down on crazy. It's what they do. You can't tell me that in a year and a half, 2026, that the people who are leading this party, AOC, who said this week she wants to defund ICE, eliminate ICE. She wants to eliminate the people who grabbed the child rapist who lives next to a playground, who grabbed the murderer from El Salvador, get him out of the neighborhood. She wants to eliminate the people who did that work. You have Jasmine Crockett. You have Tim Walz. You have Liz Warren. Every one of them is against this. That's not a winning issue. You are not on the right side of history. How many of these child rapists committed more rape? How many of them repeated the crime? It's almost too much to believe. It is too much for, I can't get my mind around it. I need someone to help me out here. Why? Why does every Democrat want this to stop this? It's just mind-blowing. It is mind-boggling. It is anti-ICE activists tipped off a murderer. They tried to grab an illegal alien criminal, take him away from ICE, put him in their car, and save him. I hope they're arrested. They should be arrested. Tom Homan said they would be arrested. They need to be. We need to see this on video. That is just so incredible. That is an issue. That remains an issue. There are 20 million or somewhere around 20 million illegal aliens that we have to get out of the country. Now, the media, the Democrats are going to focus on that one child with cancer or that one gay hairdresser who was accidentally swept up. It'll happen. There'll be mistakes. They'll correct the mistakes. But you literally, they're grabbing 3,000 a day. It's not enough. They have to bring those numbers up. We need 5,000, 10,000 a day. And it's only going to get more difficult when Democrats are obstructing the ICE officials, when they're tipping off the murderers. That is where we are today. One side wants the child rapist out of his apartment overlooking the playground. The other side wants him to stay there. Well, that's not all. That's not the only thing that gives me confidence, a little faith that the country will not revert back to the madness of the last 4 years in 2026 or 2028. Trump was right about colleges. He was right about Harvard and MIT. These are hotbeds for agitators who hate the country, who come here to stir up trouble, and he wants to bring an end to it. He wants to bring an end to the scam, which is foreign students in universities. That's what it is. It's a money-making scam. These schools, Harvard, MIT, Stanford, they will accept a Chinese student from China over a Chinese-American student from America because they know that student will pay full freight and they'll get donations from blood money from China. It's a scam. Trump's trying to bring an end to it. We'll show you the commencement speeches at those two places. And yes, in blue states, boys are continuing to dominate girls. A couple of them are in the news today. We'll tell you about that and much more. But first,
Excuse me.
if you're still tossing and turning all night and feeling edgy during the day, let me tell you about CBD from CB Distillery. Millions are turning to their CBD for relief because it works. In fact, over 90% of customers report better sleep with CBD. And it's not just sleep. CB Distillery offers targeted formulations for just about everything: sleep, stress, mood and focus, pain after exercise. I got that too. They even have CBD for pets, and it's all made from the highest quality, clean ingredients, no fillers, just premium CBD. I've been taking it for sleep for the last couple of weeks, and it's been amazing, sleeping like a rock. With over 2 million satisfied customers and a 100% money-back guarantee, CB Distillery is the source to trust. If you're struggling with sleep, stress, or other health concerns and haven't found relief, make the change, like millions have, to CBD from CB Distillery. And for a limited time, you could save 25% off your entire purchase. Visit CB Distillery and use promo code Callahan. That's cbdistillery.com, promo code Callahan. Man, my CBD gummy was almost too good last night. Almost didn't get up today. I was just out. These things work, man. But hey, we're going to read some comments today. It's Friday. Ironhead's promising to put aside some of the best comments. We'll see. He's not really, good at this, but we'll see. We got plenty of comments here today, Ironhead.
We got some coming in, but a chef's only as good as his ingredients.
I see. It is amazing. People are like me. They're like, what is going on in these places? I generally can try to make some sense of the opposition, even in Massachusetts and Boston. I have my debates, my disagreements with my neighbors and friends who support Democrats, Liz Warren, Mayor Wu. But on this one, it is just mind-boggling. I'm not sure where they go from here. They're going to spend the next year and a half, the next 3.5 years fighting ICE, fighting these deportation efforts, hell, suing and do whatever they can. And what will ICE do? They'll continue to grab murderers. There's a lot of murderers. They'll continue to grab child rapists, and Democrats will continue to fight it. I hope it remains an issue because, God, this isn't 80-20. This is 98-2. And that 2% is in blue cities, blue states where the murderers are hiding. So you attract them here, you give them benefits, you put them in hotels, and then they commit rapes and murders, and then you're forced to protect them. It's just madness. But this is madness too, by the way. I told you I was going to watch the Harvard commencement speaker, and I knew what was going to happen. Harvard and MIT had their commencements, and it went about as well as you'd expect. Yes, it was all about genocide. Oh, we can't support genocide. You should be going, people work their ass off. At least I think they did at MIT. You don't have to work your ass off at Harvard. Harvard, by the way, the toughest school to get in, particularly if you're a white or Asian American, the easiest school to get through. Everyone gets an A. I heard Alan Dershowitz, Professor Emeritus, persona non grata there now because he supported Trump. But he said, everyone gets an A in Harvard. They don't have to go to class. They don't do any work. Everyone gets an A, particularly if you're a hard left agitator, activist who set up encampments, who harass Jewish kids on campus. These are the people that Trump wants to review. He wants to take a look at before they bring him into this country. This is one of those issues when Trump first said it, and you're saying, whoa, I don't know, that might be a little bit much, saying we want to take a look at these kids before we let them into the country. This is why. These schools are letting in really rotten people. They're letting in people who are explicitly anti-Semitic, who make it about Gaza, but really they hate Jews. That's what they do. And they make Jewish kids, Jewish students, Jewish faculty feel really uncomfortable. So why would we want them here? You're not immigration. You're a school. You're a private school. We're not going to allow you to bring in people that we don't want here. Of course we should review your green card, your student visa application. Of course we should reject them if you say, if you have a social media history or a history of activism against America, against Jewish people. Why would we want you here? Oh, that's right. Your father's rich and you're paying full freight, and the people in admissions at your school are a bunch of woke radicals. Other than that, why are you here? If you hate this country, why are you here? If you hate Jews, we don't want you here. Trump is right. Trump is right on this. Trump is right again. We should keep people like this. Is this the valedictorian? Yes.
Yeah, this one at Harvard.
Is this Harvard? We'll do Harvard and MIT because what's the difference? That's all. I mean, these are hotbeds for anti-Semitism. That's what they are. The Trump administration made one demand or two demands: stop discriminating against white kids and Asian kids from America and stop the anti-Semitism. What did Harvard do? They said, oh no, we can't do that. Keep that in mind when you follow this dispute between the Trump administration and Harvard. All Harvard had to do was stop their racist admissions policy and stop the anti-Semitism. That's it. Then they continue to get their money, billions, and they continue to get support from the federal government. But they couldn't do it. They're so deeply entrenched in this culture of anti-Semitism, of radical anti-Americanism, that they couldn't even agree to that. They sacrificed billions so they could continue to hate Jews. That's their policy. Here's I believe the valedictorian. They still do that. I believe they still have a valedictorian at Harvard. She's got her Palestinian colors on, and she has a keffiyeh on, of course. Go ahead.
There are no safe zones left in Gaza after 600 days and 77 years of genocide. I center these students with urgent desperation because time is running out. No meaningful aid has entered Gaza since March 2nd, and this is on our account. I center Palestine today not just because of its scale of atrocity, but because of our complicity in it.
The Palestinian flag.
Class of 2025, Palestine is waiting for us to arrive. And you must be courageous enough to rise to the call, because Palestine will keep showing up in our living rooms until we are ready to meet its gaze. Here, I must acknowledge that together in the wilderness, we have witnessed the risks that have come with speaking up for this very genocide to be far-reaching. Yet no matter how charged with punishments the scroll, again and again we witness too the enormous hearts, unwavering courage, and profound wisdom of students like Romesa Osterk, Mahmoud Khalil, Mohsen Mehdawi, and countless others who are in this very audience with us today, such as Elam Tatik Tamalko.
You know what? I've said it for years. The dumbest people go to Harvard. It's such a myth. She sounds smart. Obviously, she's a radical. She's waving her little Palestinian flag. This is I believe, the valedictorian of the Divinity School. That's the Divinity School at Harvard. And she's talking about Gaza, and she sounds like some kind of high school, some dumb high school kid. That's how far Harvard has fallen. It is just embarrassing. Honest to God, you're sitting there, your kid graduated from Harvard. It's a happy day, a beautiful day, a great day, and you have to listen to this angry little witch talk about genocide for 77 years. The genocide's been going on again. If it's a genocide, it's the only genocide where they literally truck in aid, food, medical supplies. They literally drop leaflets to warn people when they're going to bomb. That's a genocide. That's not how it worked in Nazi Germany, I don't think. But what else do you expect? That's Harvard, and they just played right into Trump's hands yesterday. That's who we're talking about. MIT, on the same side of the river, right down the street. I often ride my bike through these campuses, and this is what they're like. Half the campus, first of all, half the campus at MIT has masks on because these scientists, these science students, they believe in science, so they're all wearing masks. Surprised the speakers weren't wearing masks, but same thing, just more hate on the Jews. Here is, what's her name? I don't even.
Mega M. Murray.
Mega, I'm just shocked that someone named Jack Murphy wasn't wasn't valedictorian at MIT. These places, they want this. They encourage this. This is what they've become. I'm not sure there's ever any coming back from this. Who would send their kid to one of these schools now? Most likely they would be radicalized. They would come home sounding like this lunatic. Here she is. Oh, we got the president too, right? Here's the valedictorian. Again, doesn't sound very smart. And then the president has to take the stage right after she does. And boy, is it uncomfortable. Go ahead.
It is no secret that at this time, academic institutions across the country are shrouded in a dark cloud of uncertainty. The question of what will happen next echoes in our minds, and there is a lot of fear in many of our hearts. We must remind ourselves that when we came to this institution, we dreamt of the opportunity to make an impact on humanity. We have been given the privilege of access to a place like this, to a community like this, and it is now time to make use of it. We cannot allow fear to keep us from doing that. You have faced the obstacle of fear before, and you turned it into fuel to stand up for what is right. You showed the world that MIT wants a free Palestine.
So proud of herself.
Last spring, MIT's undergraduate body and graduate student union voted overwhelmingly to cut ties with the genocidal Israeli military. You called for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. And you stood in solidarity with the pro-Palestine activists on campus. You faced threats, intimidation, and suppression coming from all directions, especially your own university officials. But you prevailed because the MIT community that I know would never tolerate a genocide.
Is the president.
Okay, listen, folks. At MIT, we value freedom of expression, but today's about the graduates, so it's time for me to charge you all. So good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Governor Healy, who I'm so happy to have here.
Sally Kornbluth. Another DEI hire.
Okay, folks. There is a time and a place to express yourselves, and you will have many, many years to do it. Let's talk today about our graduates.
Look at these people. Oh, we have to stop the genocide. You're a student. You're a stupid 22-year-old student who has just lived a life of privilege. I guarantee you. I don't know anything about that valedictorian. I guarantee you, she's just some little rich kid, lives in a bubble. She talks about the agitators, the protesters had to deal with harassment and intimidation. The pro-Hamas crowd, they owned this damn place. I'm telling you, I was there. There was a huge encampment. Any Jewish kid had to feel uncomfortable just going to class. Here's one Jewish guy Ziskind. He got his PhD from MIT, and he had to sit there and listen to this anti-Semitic bile from his classmate yesterday. He writes, posted on X, this PhD, he says, today should have been a happy day. I finally got my PhD from MIT with my 5-year-old twins and my 2-year-old and my parents, who are children of Holocaust survivors, traveled halfway around the world to be here. Instead, MIT's commencement speaker decided it was appropriate to use the moment for hate-filled rhetoric against Israelis and Jews. And it wasn't just one person. Too many in the crowd erupted with cheers and anger. My kids might not have understood every word, but they felt the fear and hostility and kept asking questions. It was distressing for them, upsetting for us, and deeply distasteful for everyone who came here to celebrate. How could MIT let this happen and ruin a special day for hundreds of Jewish graduates and thousands of family members? It is even more heartbreaking considering that just last week, a beautiful Jewish American couple was murdered in DC. Shame on MIT for allowing hate and division to overshadow a day meant for celebration and unity. good for him. Good for a guy. Congratulations to him. He got his PhD. He didn't get it from an elite university. He got it from MIT, this little club, this little gathering place of anti-Semites and anti-Americans. And you could see the president there, Sally Kornbluth, when she came up to the stage, she's like, uh-oh, there goes a few $1 billion in federal aid, thanks to this little brat who came up there and started talking about stop the genocide. What do you think of the genocide, I don't know, in the Congo? What about the war in Ukraine? What about the war in Sudan? That upset you too, or is it just because the Jews, that's it? No Jews, no news. That's all they care about. They're just such followers. They're such sheep. It is pathetic. It really is. I can't wait till Trump team cuts ties with MIT. You know what? If we're going to spend money at colleges, there's a lot of colleges. If we're going to give federal money to them, I think we could find some where they don't foster this climate of anti-Semitism, where it is not controlled by these radical America-hating rabble. By the way, I just read a story. We talked about Chinese kids, Chinese students coming to America. I believe the number's 300,000 students from China at U.S. universities. And there's like 87 U.S. students at Chinese universities, and how there's an obligation. Chinese students have an obligation to spy for the CCP when they come here. And we still let them in. And Marco Rubio announced, we're not going to do that anymore. And of course, the media went nuts, tried to find some hardworking Chinese student just trying to get a degree. He has an obligation to spy. Stanford University, there's a story in the Stanford Review. The Stanford Review is a school paper at Stanford. And they have a story where they literally expose a Chinese spy ring on campus. It's incredible. Have you heard about this? Has Jake Tapper or Joe Scarborough told you about this, or Rachel Maddow? It's a long story, and it's just mind-blowing. It says, after interviewing multiple anonymous Stanford faculty, students, and China experts, we can confirm that the CCP is orchestrating a widespread intelligence gathering campaign at Stanford. In short, there are Chinese spies at Stanford. They have Chinese spies confirmed on campus, and they go through a whole explanation of how they do it. They cozy up to students who are doing really groundbreaking work in engineering and science, and they gather intelligence for the CCP. And what's the number here? I have it here. They have 1,129 Chinese students on campus at Stanford. It brings in $64 million a year. And it's worth it to China because they're gathering intelligence and information through the students that we let in. And Marco Rubio said, we're not going to do that anymore. And the Democrats and the media lost their minds. Oh, so you want Chinese spies? I mean, I understand why Eric Swalwell wants them here. He thinks he can bang them. I understand why Tim Walz wants them here. He's an agent of China. But does the average Democrat, the average person, want Chinese spies roaming around our elite universities? Because that's what's happening. Give me that Harry Enton report. Harry Enton, the goofy guy from CNN who does all the polling, and he brings the numbers, and he points out that people, not just Trump, not just Marco Rubio, not me, people, Americans, no longer trust universities. They have pissed that away. We don't look at Stanford and Harvard and MIT with any respect anymore. And we know why, because they have been captured. They're controlled by radicals who hate this country, who hate Jews. And those are the kind of people they accept. That's who they want on their campus. They want keffiyeh wearing Hamas supporters. Here's Harry Enton with the numbers.
I think going into this, I think a lot of Americans thought that higher ed needed a nice kick in the rear end. What am I talking about here? Well, why don't we take a look at high confidence in higher education? You go back a decade ago, 57% of Americans had high confidence in higher education. Look at where we are now. That number has plummeted as of last year, down to 36%. We're talking about a 36-point drop among Republicans specifically. Get this, 68% of Americans said that higher education was on the wrong track. So it's a question of whether or not people agree with Trump's tactics, but they definitely agree with him on the idea that there is a problem with higher ed overall.
One thing
There you go.
you've heard
You
from.
know what? It's one of those things. Trump did it, and you said, "Wow, that's pretty radical." That's, and then you think about it. You say, "Of course, we should want to know who they're letting in. Of course, we shouldn't bring people in here." As Marco Rubio says, if they put it on their application for their student visa, yes, I hate America. I hate Jews. I want to destroy Israel. We wouldn't let them in. So why shouldn't we kick them out? Why? If they put it on their application, yeah, I'm taking pictures. I'm flying drones for the CCP. Of course we wouldn't let them in. So why shouldn't we kick them out? We should. That's the answer. All right. We're going to get to a Jake Tapper update and Caroline Leavitt. Boy, she gave a banger of a press briefing yesterday, and she went right at Dr. Jill. I love this. We'll get to that and more. But first.
Excuse me.
Life is full of surprises. Some wonderful, some not so much. But here's one thing you can control: making sure your loved ones are protected if the unexpected happens. At easyplans.com, we make getting life insurance, well, easy. In just a few minutes, you can apply online and buy direct. No awkward phone calls, no confusing jargon, and no agent will contact you unless you request help. Just clear, affordable coverage, designed to fit your life and your budget. Fast approval, flexible plans, and unlike other online insurance sites, Easy Plans won't sell your information to others. So no endless phone calls and text messages. Whether you're just starting a family, buying a home, or thinking ahead, EasyPlans.com has you covered. EasyPlans.com. We make buying life insurance, well, easy.
Before we get to Caroline Leavitt and your comments, we got a few. Yeah, good. Here's the other reason I told you that Democrats are doubling down on crazy. They're doubling down on those 80-20, 90-10 issues that cost them the last election. And obviously, they should change course. They should pivot, but they can't, they won't, because they are controlled by the radical fringe of their party, including the trans crowd. The trans mob is intimidating. Oh, I can attest to that. They can be intimidating, and they control the Democrats. Democrats are afraid to give up on this issue. They will not give up on boys and girls sports, boys and girls locker rooms, men in women's prisons. They just can't let it go. And it cost them the election. The most effective ad, as we know, was the Trump ad about Kamala Harris supporting sex change surgeries for illegal aliens and murderers. The tagline, you know, she's for they, them, he's for you. That worked. And it will continue to work because they're continuing to double down. In Minnesota yesterday, Tim Walz' state, Tim Walz, obviously Tampon Tim, big supporter of boys beating up on girls. The Champlain Park High School won the state championship thanks to Marissa Rothenberger, a boy playing softball with the girls, dominated Rogers High School to secure a 1-0 win and win the state 4A championship. The team holds a 21-2 record. Roethlisberger carried his high school to the state championship. He pitched 14 shutout innings. That's 2 games, 7 innings per game. He won 2 games, shut 2 teams out. Here's Marissa just cranking fastballs past the girls. How would you say Marissa is? About 6'2"?
I think it might be Leah Thomas.
No kidding. Leah Thomas was a little beefier. Marissa hasn't filled out yet. But there is a boy just cranking fastballs past girls, totally dominating them and winning the state championship. I love people who say, oh, there's only a few transgender athletes. Well, every girl he beat, every girl he struck out deserved better. That other team, Rogers High School, should have won the state championship. He stole it from them, and he had help, parents, coaches. So some coach of a softball team sent that boy out there for 2 straight games to dominate the girls. And he thinks that's okay. Again, it's supposed to be fair. It's supposed to be about fairness and an even playing field. Today, same thing's going to happen in Blue State, California. We're going to, in these places, they're not going to give it up. They're not going to stop allowing boys to kick girls' asses. A high school track star in California today is expected to win the long jump. I think he's the kid that broke the record, the state by like a foot. They changed the rules in California and because of the backlash. And you know what they did? They added more participants. So in the state championship track meet, they just added a couple girls to offset the boys. It doesn't stop the boy from winning. He's going to win. He's won every meet. He's going to win today. The state championship in our biggest state is going to be stolen by a boy. And the media will try to ignore it. And they don't want you to keep it under your hat. But it's still happening in blue states because these fools, these clowns, have absolutely lost their minds. But there's an upside because it's going to be an issue again in a year and a half. And hopefully it will cost them another election and then another election. They just can't give it up. They just can't take on the trans mob. They are afraid of the trans mob. And it's going to cost them, but they don't care. Anyway, let's get to Caroline Leavitt, who gave a master class yesterday. This woman, 27-year-old Caroline Leavitt, every time I watch her or listen to her, I think of who she replaced. That absolute moron, KJP, who couldn't do a press conference without her binder, who could never answer a question on her feet, impromptu. She had to read, stumble, fumble, just tell you, I'll get back to you on that. Caroline Leavitt barely looks down. She has an incredible command of the issues. She must just work, 20 hours a day. She is so good at this. And yesterday was perhaps her best press conference yet. Here's my favorite part. She was asked about the cover-up, the biggest political scandal in American history, the cover-up of our vegetable in chief, Joe Biden, which is not going away. As we talked about yesterday, they're going to subpoena the Politburo, the people behind the throne who were controlling the auto pen and so much more. Here she is talking about Dr. Jill. Now, let me ask you this. Why shouldn't Dr. Jill be called into questioning? Why shouldn't Dr. Jill go under oath? We think she was central to this. We think she was enabling this. We saw her chair a cabinet meeting, like head of the table. Obviously, there were people controlling the president. She's one of them. And we're going to protect her. Why? Because she's a woman? Because she's the wife of the corpse? She should be called in today and asked about her role. And I think it might happen at some point. At least it will if the people in Congress, if other people in the administration think like Caroline. Check this out.
And on a different topic, there are some folks in President Biden's inner circle who are now in talks with Republicans in Congress to give interviews about how they may have handled President Biden's decline. Is the president satisfied with aides only sitting for these transcribed interviews, or would he also like to see some kind of testimony from the former First Lady, Dr. Biden?
I think, frankly, the former First Lady should certainly speak up about what she saw in regards to her husband and when she saw it and what she knew, because I think anybody looking again at the videos and photo evidence of Joe Biden with your own eyes and a little bit of common sense can see this was a clear cover up. And Jill Biden was certainly complicit in that cover up. There are there's documentation, video evidence of her clearly shielding her husband away from the cameras. They were just on The View last week. She was saying everything is fine. She's still lying to the American people. She still thinks the American public are so stupid that they're going to believe her lies. And frankly, it's insulting, and she needs to answer for it. Ouija.
Yes, she does. Again, if the shoe were on the other foot, do you have any doubt that they would call Melania Trump in, or any Republican first lady? Of course they would. Again, they fight dirty. That's what Democrats do. Republicans have to start pushing back, fighting just as dirty. And it would be a great thing. The media would lose their minds. Talk about how cruel it is. Just heartless. Again, these are the people who raided Trump's home, arrested everyone in Trump's orbit, who put him through hell in New York during the campaign season, had him sit there while Letitia James stared at him for weeks when he should have been out campaigning. Those people, they're going to kick and scream about the cruelty and the weaponization and everything else. The hell with them. Get her in. Get her under oath. She knows as much or more than anyone. All right, before we go, we got any comments, Ironhead? You told me we did.
We got a few. Some questions. Some.
Delia Pauline says Miss Caroline rocks. Yes, she does. She has stunned me, to be honest. I was worried. She's so young, inexperienced, but she has been the best. Well, there's so many good ones. I go back and forth. I waver. I go from Stephen Miller to Marco Rubio to Kash Patel to Lee Zeldin to Caroline Leavitt. That was her day yesterday. Is there really, Detta says, is there really any hope for Democrats to wake up and acquire any common sense? I don't think so. That's the theme today, because the big issues, I mean, you could talk all you want about whatever, taxes and tariffs, and those are big. But the things that won Trump, the White House in November, the border, trans issues, those social issues, those aren't going away. And of course, the economy matters, and the economy looks damn good right now. So if the election were held today, I think nothing would have changed. Rick says, great job by ICE. Democrats are unhinged. Yes, they are. And I think their answer will be to not even cover it, not even talk about it. Let's not talk about the murderer that we grabbed in Boston yesterday. Let's not talk about the child rapist who was living next to a playground. And you know what they should do? They should go back to that spot and talk to the neighbors, talk to the woman who has kids playing on that playground. Did you know there was a child rapist who lived right there? Are you happy that he's gone? Linda says, how stupid can people be? I tell you, it's Satan at work. And sometimes it feels that way. Francis, they should arrest them for stopping them from getting any of them. Of course they should. I'm not sure they didn't or they won't. I don't think Bill Melugin had all the details of the effort to stop ICE. He wasn't there on the scene for that. But we need that. We need to see people like that congresswoman from New Jersey who stopped them at the ICE detainment center there.
All right, thank you.
We need arrests. Chris says it's very upsetting knowing the Democrats want to let these animals into our society. Disgusting and despicable. It is. But you know what? Every time I watch it, I'm happy they're getting these people out, and I'm happy that Democrats are upset. I'm happy that we have a mayor who told these murderers, these rapists, you're home here. You belong here. And I know the mayor's in a tough fight against Josh Kraft, Bob Kraft's son. And God knows I'm rooting for Josh Kraft, but this has to be an issue. Josh Kraft has to come out and say, we want these people out, don't we? Because no one wants them here unless you're one of them. But anyway, I'm repeating myself now. Oh, we never got to fake Jake. I'll just say this: Jake Tapper's he's the most miserable, best-selling author I've ever seen. I've never seen anyone who looks like they regret writing a bestseller. He's making a fortune. I'm not sure it was worth it. Yesterday, he did an interview and he asked about regrets and all, why didn't you cover this? And he says, I wish these people, these 200 sources for this book, I wish they'd talked to me 2 years ago. Well, Jake, there's a reason they didn't talk to you 2 years ago about Biden's decline. You didn't ask. He digs himself in deeper every time he talks, and it's great to see. I'm still hoping to find the book in the library or shoplift it somewhere because I want to read it, but none of them went on the record. So they would have done the same thing 2 years ago. 200 people talking about Biden's decline. If you called them 2 years ago, Jake, you know, being a journalist, maybe a few of them would have told you the truth and you would have had a scoop, but you didn't want it because you were protecting Joe Biden, because you wanted to wait till after the election when there was no longer any threat to, your candidate losing, and then you could tell the truth. You are a fraud. You are a liar. You are part of the cover-up, and everybody knows it, which is great. He's making money, but that's, he sold his soul, and he knows it. All right, we will leave it there for today and for this week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we'll do it again Monday morning.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, my God. Is she crazy?
Thank you. Thank you
Wow.
all. Thank you so very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, too many. Thank you.